All right, hello and welcome. Hopefully this is working. I won't know because in hindsight, I don't have the studio up. Wow. So guys, it has been an interesting hour for me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to shut down my computer. It's the end of the workday. I'll turn it back on in time for the stream. Should be no issue whatsoever. So I turned it back on just a minute ago, or an hour ago now, and Firefox won't load. Like it will open, but then it won't open a single web page. I try to go to settings, nothing. I try to go to web page, nothing. That absolutely everything's just dead. Go to web page, and I'm trying to look up information for this. I can open my other browsers. Edge opens fine. Chrome actually opened for once. Usually Chrome doesn't open for me for some very annoying reason, and it's just nothing's working. And so I try uninstalling, reinstalling, deleting program files. I'm going to the registry trying to nuke whatever's going on with Firefox. Nothing works. Finally, I installed the x86 version, so the 32-bit version of Firefox, and that was fortunately able to load. So there's obviously some weird
Well, there had to be an audio problem somewhere. There wouldn't be one of your streams without it. There wouldn't be one of your streams without it.
I don't know. We either have no sound or duplicating sound. We either have no sound or duplicating sound. We either have no sound.
They said they could hear me barely.
You're coming in barely. Okay, so look, I can hear me fine on the stream now. And it's not coming, like I'm not hearing an echo when I talk either. So why, are you sure there's an echo, Josh? Maybe you had two tabs open. Now, Bradley's claiming I'm echoing. Okay. It's funny because the thing I did to fix it is absolutely nothing. It's the exact same setting it was when there was an echo for a bit. How weird. How mind-boggling, weird. And John, let's see. John, can you say something for me real quick? It's coming in on my Windows audio. What the heck? Oh. Oh, shoot. Shoot. Yes. 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 Okay, so what's going on, people, is that Firefox, the 32-bit version, is going through my Windows audio instead of going through the appropriate channel like it's supposed to. So as a result, I can either have all my Windows sounds, all the bings, the mails, pop-ups, like you've got mail. I can have all that, or I can have no John sound. Obviously, we want John sound. We absolutely want John sound. So I am going to kvetch for a little bit. And then I'm going to pull on my big boy pants and stop whining and get this fixed. So let's see, John, how about you say something now? Keep talking for a little bit. I apparently have 5. What the heck is going on over here? I have 5 Firefox instances running right now. Because why wouldn't I? My goodness. Yeah, well, you know, she might. Yeah, she might definitely do a better version. And so guys, stick around. Just almost got this fixed. I just put it on the wrong thing. Oh. And I started late too, but look, these things happen. Apparently restarting your computer is an absolutely inappropriate thing to do. I didn't know.
Inexcusable.
It was. And hey everyone, you heard John, right? Yeah? Say a little more there, John.
Could you hear me talking about how inexcusable it was that Matthew decided to restart his computer? Talking about how inexcusable.
There we go. Yay.
Yes.
I can do basic. Okay, it's not basic. Look, I actually do advanced stuff with my computer. I don't know why. Look, I accept and expect even when I start messing around with my computer, things are going to go wrong. That's part of what I do. When I just turn it off, I don't expect things to blow up on me. Like that is not something that should be happening just because I turned it off and on again. So thank you, Windows, for that lovely little few minutes there. Meanwhile, back at the plot, I need to get my head screwed on straight. I need to get the SciTube set up. So guys, man, if this is the first time you were here, I almost apologize. I don't apologize, but I almost do.
Almost.
I mean, an almost apology. Well, that's halfway to an apology right there.
It's like a theoretical apology.
Let's see. I don't need that. I do need this. There's SeaQuest. All right, guys, let's take this from the top, I think, if we please. I'm dropping a link to SciTube in right now. And so, hello and welcome. I'm glad everyone is here. Thank you so much for putting up with my computer woes. I thought, look, for a second, we weren't going to do this at all. This was this close to me just saying, screw it. I can't, it's not working. We just got to scrub it. We'll have to do this next week. But I really didn't want to do that because if I did that, it would mean Thomas Potts was right with his sass. Over in Discord, he had sassed off about how there's no way Matthew can do 2 weeks in a row of SeaQuest. And I did not want him to be right. Oh.
Well, thanks, Thomas. That reverse psychology worked.
It did. And he claims, way back at the very beginning of the chat, he said he wants to see me doing Echo without cheating. It's not going to happen.
That's what I said.
It's not.
Basically.
I can't. I have to cheat. Without the cheating, I have to get good at it, and that's not going to happen. Josh Street, how are you doing? Wondering, what are we going to be doing around here this time? We're going to watch it. We're here. Everything's ready. I think. We'll see, won't we? We will definitely see what I messed up on. Truck reviewer saying, why so narrow? Why is what so narrow? Did I put something narrow on? I may have. Are you talking about Echo? Yeah, why are those corridors in Echo so narrow? Kills me every time. Professor Brainy Specs is here. Glad you're doing well. Saying the picture's narrow. What? Are you saying like I'm too zoomed in on my face? I might be. It looks fine to me over in YouTube. Is Twitch looking weird? It might be. It could entirely be that over on Twitch I did something wonky, as I do.
I don't know if this is what he's talking about, but when I look over at YouTube, it looks like my picture is shifted up slightly compared to normal.
It could
I don't
be.
know what the thing.
Yeah, you know what? It does look that way. I'm gonna blame quantum. Definitely quantum issues going on there. I mean, in all honesty, what it probably is just there's some slight discrepancies between x86 and x64 Firefox, and unfortunately that just has my stuff a little off kilter. You know, it doesn't matter for me because I put my picture in a different way to try and keep the spray from flashing in our faces all the time. But look, it is what it is, guys. Today it is what it is. I'm just glad we got it streaming at all. But I can't see it over on Twitch right now because I don't have my login for Twitch, or I'm not logged into Twitch, and I don't want to go through that rigmarole because it's a two-factor what's who's it over on Twitch. You know how it goes. Oh yeah, I see that, Thomas. It is super weird. I would guess, top of my head here, that some doofus, not naming names, but some doofus probably, Matthew, put in the resolution was 1080 by 1920 instead of 1920 by 1080. So, there's that. So, people on Twitch, hold on a second. Stream's going to stop. It'll start back again. But thankfully, over on Twitch, you can just do whatever you want, and it doesn't matter. So, real quick here, we're just going to do this and do that and say go. And let me know, guys, over on Twitch. Maybe someone can drop a link to my own Twitch channel in the chat, because I don't have it off the top of my head. Is it just Twitch /LifeWithMatthew? That'd be a little too easy. I don't think that's how they do it. I feel like there's more. Or that's exactly it. Maybe that's exactly it, and I just need to shut up. Yeah, okay, it looks just fine. Yeah, it looks fine. It looks just fine. Yeah, it looks fine. Oh my god. This stream, and anyone new to this stream is like, I am not going to watch this guy. This guy is just all over the place. And hopefully there's one new person out there who's like, this is hilarious. I'm gonna subscribe to this guy because of how ridiculous he is, and to which I say, you are in the right place, man. Or lady. I don't want to assume here. Well, with all that said and done, hey, over to everyone in the chat: Josh Street, Cinnabon Bunny, John DiMarco, Irvik Sonder, Professor Brady Specs, Thomas Potts, and anyone that I am missing. How are you doing? Bradley Briggs, yes, of course, Bradley. And of course, the one Amy, the lovely Mrs. Life with Matthew. How are you doing, my dear? Hopefully better than I'm doing. Ha! Man. So, this is the way it works, everyone. Jump over to the link that I've pinned in YouTube. This is going to take you to the screening room. This lets you... Why don't I let a backlit run the stream? Red alarm. Red alarm. We are winning.
Make the stream go.
We are smart. We make stream go. Oh, my goodness. Is it my shirt or is my face red?
Yes.
Jump over to the stream. The way it works is that link that I pinned over on YouTube. You can come, and while the stream is active, you can watch my copy of this. If you're here after the stream has ended, you need to go to peacocktv.com or peacock.com, one of those two, and sign up for a free account with them. Then you can watch SeaQuest for free. So all 3 seasons of SeaQuest. You can watch all 5 seasons of Sliders. And lots of just random shows that you wouldn't think would be available. They just stream it for free. And I keep waiting for the hat drop moment where, the penny's in the air, just waiting for it to fall. And they say, hey, you really like our service. That's $5 a month now. And it just never comes. We've been doing this for over a year now, and it's still free for some reason. So go get an account with them, watch SeaQuest, watch all the other great shows you love to watch that are over there for some reason. And if you don't want to do that, you can go buy a physical copy of it. They have SeaQuest on DVD, they have it on Blu-ray. It's a fun series. I've thoroughly enjoyed the first and the third seasons, and the second season wasn't as bad as a lot of people say it was. Like, it was rough. It was definitely rough. I was trying to figure out where it was, but it wasn't as rough as people said. But the first season was just TNG under the sea. The third season is, frankly, more Voyager under the sea. Not as much Quantum, but a little more action, a little less philosophical than TNG was. And it's worth it. If you don't want to do any of those things, I provide clips, or not clips, I provide still shots. So every 3 to 5 seconds in this box right below us, I'm going to throw up a still image. It's just a picture that lets you have some sort of reference for what we're rambling on about. Well, what I'm rambling on about, what John is laser focused in on. And unfortunately, I fully admit I get distracted easily. So odds are very high that I'm going to go off on something random and not even be talking about what the people are saying. So yeah, those are the options, people. Thank you for coming and being with us as we get this started. So hopefully everyone has had a chance to come over here. Bradley's saying this is hilarious. Thank you, Bradley. Josh is saying, zoom out. I don't want to see your nose hair on Twitch. Well, you know, it just kind of blends in with the mustache, so it works. Trek is saying that Season Quest 2 and 3 are like Star Trek TOS Season 3 and TNG Season 2. I don't think I'd say that about Season 3 for SeaQuest. And even TOS Season 3 actually had some good episodes in it. It's okay, yes, it had Spock's brain in it. But that's the one people really...
Fun.
It was a campy, fun one. Brain and brain. What is brain? That's what everyone on the stream is yelling at me. Yes. What is brain? I don't know. I'm not using it. But I think Season 3 TOS had some gems in it. But more relevantly, I think SeaQuest Season 3 really understood what they wanted to be and went out and did it. I feel like SeaQuest Season 2 wasn't really sure of what it wanted to be. Like, was it going to be this philosophical show like we got in Season 1? Or was it going to be more pew 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 pew? And unfortunately, they just didn't find a good way to blend those two. And I think it suffered a little bit. But Season 3, it knows what it wants to be, and it's just nailing it. I mean, having Captain Jellicoe certainly isn't hurting anything. So with that said, guys, hopefully you're in the screen room now. I'm going to give you a quick, 2 count, because we're a little late. Things happened. And then we're going to hit the play button, and I'm going to start the clips. So, yeah. Here we go. 2 count, 1, 2, hit the play button. There you are. And Trek Reviewer, you are not wrong. I do think Move Along Home... I wouldn't say that it was great, but I think it was fun. I think Move Along Home was a very fun episode.
Yes, he reserves great for Code of Honor.
That's right. As we all know, as it has been stated for the record, unfortunately, many times, I think Code of Honor is one of the best TOS Season 1, or TNG Season 1 episodes. And let me know if there's audio coming in, because with all the stuff going on, I'm a little worried that you might be able to hear it. I'm a little worried that you might be able to hear it. I'm a little worried that you might be able to hear it. Yeah, I had loop there, but that should be fine. Yeah, for some reason I have Edge coming in on the wrong channel, but it's all right. It's not a channel that's being broadcast, so life is fine.
Welcome, the Multi-Gun Man.
Hey, Multi, how you doing?
And by the way, the captain got Piccolo a book about Elvis for his birthday.
Which, Jellicoe is such a dry line there. he's giving Piccolo you need to get back here. And Piccolo's like, what's wrong? He's like, you were born. And Piccolo's like, crap, what did I do to deserve this? And he was like, yeah, happy birthday. So they're trying to do a spin up of the reactors. Apparently they had shut down the nuclear, or not nuclear, but fusion reactors. The holy grail of energy production. Oh, thanks, Professor. Let me know. No audio on YouTube. Very good. I don't know why Lonnie's not believing him. But Lewis is saying, something's going wrong. I got a ripple in the chamber. And she's like, I don't see anything. And they're like, well, Lewis, you're the one in charge. What do we do here? And he's like, shut it down. Scrub it. And unfortunately, she didn't do it quite quick enough. We got an uncontrolled reaction going on. There's a black hole forming in it. And then we get this whomp. Giant sphere. Electricity jumping off the SeaQuest. I think I see a Swedish man in the center of all of it, half naked. I guess actually Arnold was completely naked in the Terminator. There's no half about it.
Yeah, I was wondering where you were going with that.
It's the same kind of visual effect, that ball of energy, the electricity sparking off of it. He was Austrian, that's why the joke didn't work. Yeah, if I had said a half-naked Austrian, you would have known exactly what I was going for, clearly. But Jellicoe, he's not going to stick around. He's like, yeah, full speed ahead. Lewis is like, oh, well, we don't know what this is. He's like, yeah, what it is trouble. We're getting out of it. Fortunately, the reactor is stabilized. And they're picking up something. And it's... I don't recognize the song. I mean, I recognize a lot of the songs from this period, but this one I'm just drawing a blank on.
It sounds familiar, but I'm not sure which one it is.
Ford wants to disembark. Let's go to the ship, figure out what's going on. And Jellicoe is a little more reserved. He wants to actually see what's going on. And using the whisker, they're able to immediately identify that they are in the year 1962. And apparently, the Cuban Missile Crisis literally happened on Piccolo's birthday. Well, not his physical birthday, but the same day as his birthday. And they give a quick summary of, the bare bones of what happened with the Cuban Missile Crisis. Which, I mean, it is really interesting how close we came to just massive war. But unfortunately, in this timeline, instead of us being able to just maintain a state of Cold War for the next 30 years, things went wrong, and they destroyed the planet. Which, if you remember, last week I did predict that we were going to have a time travel episode.
Yes, you got pretty close.
I was wrong about
you can get the general
idea. Sorry, go on, John.
I was like, you got pretty close. You got the general idea.
Yeah, I got all the details wrong. I think I said it was going to be... I think I said it was going to be Lewis. Either Lewis or Jellicoe having some second chance at something. But I at least got time travel. So, hey, I was in the ballpark for once. Mm-hmm. And Jeff, you're not alone. Saying, I never know what Matthew's going for. Amy Amy would be right there with you. Like, what are you doing, kid? And Josh, no, not having flashbacks to my bachelor party. For my bachelor party, my groomsmen came over and we had a Halo LAN party. Like, they literally brought their TVs over. We hooked all our Xboxes together and played Halo. So sure enough, just everyone is dead. Did I say Jellicoe instead of Jeff? Well, I mean, Jellicoe wouldn't know what I was up to either, Jeff. Jellicoe would have kicked me off the bridge ages ago.
Oh, somebody's still alive, apparently.
Which you really shouldn't be. I mean, when you stop to think about what's going on here, there's a nuclear explosion, enough to irradiate the entire world. Or at least irradiate California. Or Florida, wherever they are right now. Let's say they're around Florida, because that makes more sense.
I think so, yes.
Because we're not going to see them go south around South America or through the Panama Canal. So they're in Florida. They got to get to Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy was close enough to get a fatal dose of radiation, but not close enough to be instantly vaporized. He was in the worst place possible. And Lewis wants to, reach out and touch the dead boy for some reason. But the doctor says, don't do it. He is so radioactive that even the body bag he's in right now is dangerously radioactive. Which, I mean, dang, that's a lot of radiation. That's like, if the bag itself is radioactive to the touch, you would think that simply being in close proximity to the bag would be exposing you to dangerous levels of radiation. And they're all trying to figure out what's going on. He says, I don't understand. We never got this close to a nuclear war. Now, not only did they have the war, which happened and went in an instant, but also the whole world is going to die because now they're facing nuclear winter. Which is an interesting concept, but the actual math of it doesn't quite hold up for nuclear winter. The way people used to think, we could very easily achieve it. The amount of nukes that would have to go off to create a true nuclear winter is mind-boggling. We like to think it would happen easily, and people who are very anti-nuclear power would say it would happen very easily, but frankly, St. Helens, when it erupted, according to the same models used for nuclear devices, should have created a nuclear winter, and obviously it didn't.
Now they're talking about trying to use the instability in the reactor to travel a little bit further back in time to prevent the war from happening.
Which, hey, they just invented a time machine. A very reliable one, we're going to see. I love Jellicoe's line here right now. That, Lewis is saying, he's like, can you control this well enough for us not to kill ourselves trying to go back in time? And Lewis responds with, well, we don't have a choice. And Jellicoe's response is, we always have a choice. We need to figure out if we can get enough information to make the choice, like a logical choice, basically. Which I really love that line. Because, yeah, in movies, so many times people are like, oh, we have no choice, we have to do this. Like, well, no. The SeaQuest could quite easily, or not easily, but it could at least conceivably survive on its own with no issues. They don't have to risk blowing themselves up. And Jeff is saying, you said Jellicoe was the one to go back in time, not Lewis. Okay. Well, they're all going to do it. Oh, last week my prediction was that Jellicoe would go back in time. Gotcha. So thankfully, the one survivor is the guy who can give them the information they need as to what caused this. That one U.S. sub somehow went out of position. They fired on a ship, and the nukes were launched. Everyone went mad. Thomas, how much time is left in the episode? About 33 minutes. But this guy freaks out when he sees Dagwood, which, you're Navy, son. I think a guy walking up with a bunch of different colors on his skin, you'd be like, oh, he's just did a funky tattoo. Oh, sorry, I have 33 minutes to be right. Well, I was right in that it is time travel and that Jellicoe goes back in time. But all the details were just wrong. Just 100% wrong. But since he saw Dagwood, they told him that they were from the future, and now he's flipping out, yelling at them to go back in time. And unfortunately, the doctor, whose name is Mason... No, Perry.
Perry, yes.
Perry. Not Perry Mason, who is another doctor. Just Perry. Dr. Perry basically said, look, there's nothing I can do for him.
Wait, Perry Mason's a doctor? I thought he was a lawyer.
I think wasn't he both?
I don't know. It's been a long time.
Perry Mason, doctor? Lawyer. Not even beginning to be a doctor is what everyone's saying online here. Yeah.
And yes, Tim, by the way, we are still doing this show. Somebody keeps canceling on us.
It's true. It is very, very true. Just a defense attorney. Yep. I guess I'm thinking of Matlock.
Who was also a lawyer. But was he a doctor too?
I clearly don't know. Well, he was played by Andy Griffiths, right? Or is he played by Dick Van Dyke?
I'm trying to remember.
I want to say Matlock was played by Griffith.
Yeah, it was Andy Griffith.
Look, I'm not going to try. I'm not going to make this. I'm not going to make this any better by trying to explain my thought process for how we got here. Okay, guys. Basically,
that's probably a good idea.
There was some confusion about Perry Mason being a doctor. I was thinking he was another attorney, Andy Griffith. But the only reason I was thinking he was Andy Griffith, who was also not a doctor, was because I was thinking about the single episode of Scrubs in which Dick Van Dyke played a doctor. That's how we got here, okay?
There was a show where Dick Van Dyke played a doctor. I think it was called Diagnosis Murder.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. It definitely wasn't just I was thinking of one episode with Scrubs. I was thinking the whole murder mystery, which got us over to anyway.
Meanwhile, back in SeaQuest.
So they did in fact manage to travel back in time one more time, just 2 more days back in time, just soon enough to prevent whatever happened from happening, to set right what once went wrong. And they hear across the military channels that they are moving to DEFCON 2. So they're basically, a second from midnight at this point on the doomsday clock. Hey Tim, how you doing today? Now O'Neill knows that the SeaQuest is, grossly overpowered compared to everyone else here. He's like, why don't we just, surface and tell everyone to knock it off? And Jellicoe goes, well, if we do that, we're not actually going to prevent anything. Frankly, we might start the war by showing up. A submarine the size of a football field, it might freak some people out.
Yeah.
But even if they didn't, their presence might stop the immediate trigger from being pulled. But if you have to have an outside source preventing war, as soon as that outside source is gone, you're most likely just going to have war. Because you're like, well, the other side's that, has stood down. So we have the military advantage right now. Are things not going over on Salty's channel well tonight? Oh, you should have seen me earlier. Things were not going well over here either. Thomas is saying he was a doctor on DS9. Who, Dick Van Dyke? Look, clearly I have fully demonstrated that my knowledge of actors and locations is unreliable.
Names and basic facts.
But it's not quite that bad. Tim saying it was interesting, sort of. Was it a nerd debate situation? I love me a good nerd debate. It's fascinating. They're listening to a newscast right now about how both sides are accusing the other of being overly provocative, leading to a state of war. And it's like, it's the exact same thing we got going on right now. Like, we're literally in the middle of the Olympics, and you have one side claiming China's disqualifying people just so that their own people can win the gold medal, which... yeah, it certainly seems there's a bit of that. And then you have other people saying, oh no, they're disqualifying those people because, like in the ski jump, 5 women were disqualified because, quote unquote, their uniforms were too big, which would give them an aerial advantage. And that's just on something mundane like sporting events, let alone things like the Ukraine situation, where both sides are blaming the other for creating the situation. And you have Ukraine's president itself saying that the U.S. government is, insane, that Russia's not about to invade, that we don't know what we're talking about. I mean, the fact that newscast was about something that we would have heard in 1962 is still relevant for how nations talk to each other today is crazy. So they're on the boat that they found the military guy on before. And Lewis is trying to explain to the daughter of this military guy what's going on. He's like, look, what it comes down to is just, we're going to kidnap you for just a little bit. Of course, that doesn't go over well. Is this a political stream? It's not supposed to be, but on an episode that focuses on the Cuban Missile Crisis, it's going to come up a little bit.
As you may guess, the presence of a certain crew member on this little mission is going to cause some problems soon.
I was very curious how they were going to do it. In fact, this scene is where I went, okay, which way is this series going to go? Is SeaQuest going to ignore the reality of things, or is SeaQuest going to kind of go a hyper way with it? And I think they leaned perhaps toward a hyper response, but at the same time, it's a response I can absolutely see happening. You'll see it. And the daughter is amazingly okay with the idea of everyone here being a Russian spy. And in fact, she seems extremely excited that Lewis might be a Russian spy. You know, talking about how all their outfits don't quite make sense. Their language doesn't quite make sense. And poor Lewis, she asks him, you don't even know who won the World Series this year. And Thomas is well aware of the fact that he could ask me this question. And Lewis got Lewis got closer to being right than I would have. he said the Paris Lasers, which, yeah. I'm wondering, like, maybe the Houston Astros, are they still a team? Houston Oilers now, I think, is a team.
The correct answer is the London Kings.
Yeah, the London Kings, absolutely. Of course, this really isn't helping their look. I mean, they're pulling out all this spy equipment. And it's like, well, of course, you really are Russian spies. Yes, Tim, I am trolling on the Lewis. And unfortunately, the jocks they passed have shown back up. And this is one of those things where it's like, the fact that he was driving a nice car, I could see him being pulled over by an officer. The fact that he's on this beach right now, I could see it creating an aggressive response. The fact that they saw him drive by and immediately grab their baseball bats, like, that's where it's a little hyper for me. Like, I do like how Ford handles it, where he puts the pieces together, like, it's me, I'm the problem, I'm on a white-only beach, I was driving a nice car, you knew this was going to happen. If they had had this exact same scene, except they didn't have all the greasers here get baseball bats from the back, I would have accepted this 100%. So they had enough. They start shooting everyone. You know, solid plan here.
Or at least they don't have stormtrooper aim.
Yeah, Lonnie has excellent aim. She shot a baseball bat out of a guy's hand. Thomas is saying that the Houston Oilers were an NFL team. Like I said, Lewis had a better chance than I did. They moved and are now the Tennessee Titans. But the Houston Astros were a baseball team. Are they still?
As far as I know.
And Matthew knows calling people the wrong name takes an hour off my life, so he's deliberately trying to kill me. Slowly. Yes. And Truck Reviewer is saying the New York Yankees won the 1962 World Series. Oh, that would have been such a safe bet. But I didn't think of that. True, Tim. They wouldn't be greasers. They would have been surfers. But who won the World Series this year? Past year.
I don't know. Hello, Robert Rose. Glad you could join us.
Hey, Robert. How you doing tonight? A happy early birthday to Robert, by the way. Got a big something number coming up this Sunday. Hey now, Thomas. Hey now. The Dallas Cowboys won the Super Bowl back-to-back in the 90s, and then a third time like a year or two later. So, I mean, they didn't become the Cry Boys until at least the late 90s. Meanwhile, the SeaQuest is trying to keep tabs on any sub that might do a runner all of a sudden. Or any US sub that's going to try to break the blockade, but they can't find them all. They're saying, yeah, we have Whiskers, but we've seen in the past the one where Bridger's mind was downloaded into a ship and was launching attacks on different targets. That the SeaQuest does have a vulnerability against finding ships that are on the ocean floor, even with their advanced technology. So sure enough, you know, they're like, look, we can't find all the subs that are on the ocean floor right now. They're running deep, running silent. And poor Ford, he's trying to explain that we're just from the future. That's why we know these things. And Piccolo is saying he can prove it. You just take one of the pulse guns we have, set it to red, and fire it off into the sea. You'll see that we are definitely from the future. And Tom is saying that the Atlanta Braves won the last World Series. I have to trust you. I obviously can't fact check that. So he's going to send them off to the Pentagon, but I don't think the Pentagon would necessarily care. Like, there's people at the Pentagon who would care, but I don't feel like the Pentagon would have the proper facilities for processing these people. So Lewis, he tries to reach out, and he says, I know the reason why we know all this is because you told your family to do a runner if anything went bad, but they waited for you. They didn't run. And as a result, you all died. And your son's St. Christopher medal was so hot it couldn't even be touched. And the dad was like, my son doesn't even have a St. Christopher medal. So you're clearly lying. Thomas is saying for the World Series they defeated the Tokyo Kamikaze. Thomas, I am at least confident enough to know that didn't happen, because there is no Tokyo Kamikaze in the World Series. I'd find it extremely unlikely that Tokyo would choose such a unflattering name for themselves. And the mom calls. She wants to make sure everyone's okay. She found out that her daughter was temporarily kidnapped. Nothing major. The mom wants to know where they're really communist, but, I mean, she's on a public phone. And the dad's like, no, we're not talking about this over a public phone line. And the mom should have known better. And she says, I know this was silly, but while I was out, I bought our son a St. Christopher medal. And so the dad is quite understandably freaked out by this. He's like, when did you do it? Did anyone see you? And the mom says, well, I bought it 10 minutes ago. So obviously there's no way for Lewis to have been aware of this. Like, if she had bought it a day or two ago, then maybe their informants, their spies could have gotten the message out. But 10 minutes ago? No. Something's gone wrong. Thomas Potts is saying, who do you think is winning the Super Bowl? The Cincinnati Rams or the LA Bengals? Again, I am at least aware of the fact that those are not teams. I am aware that the Rams are teams, but they're not the Cincinnati Rams. They're Chicago, Detroit. Who are the Rams? I don't remember the city they are, but I know it's not the Cincinnati Rams. The LA Rams? So at least the military guy, he's been a little convinced. He puts the gun up to red, and instead of going out to the ocean to fire it, he just shoots it at a target board right in front of him, and it blows up the entire range in front of him. So yeah, you just swap their names around. The Cincinnati Bengals and the LA Rams. Nice try, Thomas. You might have gotten away with calling it the LA Bengals on me, but I at least knew that it wasn't the Cincinnati Rams. I'm killing you. With which part, though? My utter lack of sports knowledge in team names, or my utter lack of knowledge in people names?
Also, yes.
So we got a Russian ship that's starting to make them a little nervous. So Jellicoe decides that he's going to use a lowest powered phaser blast to take out one of the ship's rudders, such that hopefully it will turn around and limp its way back home. Thomas saying the Cleveland Rams were a team. I'll have to believe you on that. And sure enough, someone earlier said, isn't this going to cause the war, them going back in time? And it is. By taking out that ship, there was an American sub that had been lying on the ocean floor that, seeing it disabled, said, that's it, this is our moment, and is now charging ahead. But fortunately, the military guy, he's come around. He does, in fact, believe that they are a danger now. So he lowers the setting, and thankfully he puts everything together. That there's a stun setting, and there's a blow up the whole planet setting.
Well, I noticed from earlier that they stunned those greasers that And then they woke up later, so there must be some kind of stun setting.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he gets it right, and he only stuns the security officer in there. And Jeff was saying, I thought it was the London Rams and the Italy Bengals in the Super Bowl. Beats me who's really in that. I don't know. I haven't watched any football games since my dad died. He was one who watched football in the family. So again, SeaQuest is driving this guy further and further toward war. They take out a couple of something. I don't think he launched a torpedo. He had launched like a buoy of some sort. And since they shot it down, now he's really freaking out because he's like, well, I've never heard the noise pattern on these missiles. So he's convinced there's some sort of Russian sub in the area now. Oh, and Thomas was half telling me the truth earlier. It's the LA Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl this Sunday, I think. So Jellicoe gets the prefix codes for the sub over there and sends them the information to let them know that they are friendlies. Of course, while they're trying to get all this information sent to him, the other sub is shooting missiles at them now. I mean, not like he's actually a threat. The SeaQuest is hands down more powerful than he is. So Jellicoe's sending over the prefix codes. Stand down, stand down. He says that you're out of position. So he sent out a navigational buoy trying to confirm. Because Jellicoe's saying you're out of position, you're out of position. Or not a navigation buoy, a war warning buoy is what they're calling it. If it makes it to the surface, it's going to kick off World War III here. So there's a tense moment. Is the prefix code really going to work? Is he going to accept his authority? But thankfully, they do have the right codes. He accepts his authority, but they still have to take care of this buoy heading for the surface. And of course, SeaQuest can't take care of it because there's the Russian ship in the way. But of course... who's there to save the day?
Darwin. Yes, Darwin will save the world.
Yep. Darwin is here to save the day. With the speed of lightning and a roar of thunder. It makes it to the surface. It's starting to transmit, but don't worry. Darwin comes up and just boop, flips it upside down and then snaps the antenna straight off.
There you go. Barely an inconvenience.
And just to show how bad their sonar is, his sonar says the buoy was destroyed when all it was done was the antenna was snapped off. It's still fine. But thank goodness everyone worked together. We can stand down. World War III is not going to happen. A war that was only about to happen because SeaQuest was there in the first place.
Oh, the singularity in the reactor is becoming unstable again.
Which, hey, at least they're making a plausible reason as to why they can't time travel in the future. The only reason this worked was because through a freak accident, a black hole was created in the reactor, and by shooting the laser through it, trying to get everything going, they had created a time travel device. But now that the black hole is destabilizing, they can't use it anymore. So the girl gives Lewis a quick kiss. A bit of Stockholm syndrome going on, I reckon. And she tells Lewis, come and find me in the future. And snaps off her keychain, because she has 2 keys now for free. Because Bigelow brought back a copy from the future. And technically, Ford has gills still, doesn't he?
Well, I think that was only temporary.
It'd be super convenient for him with all these swimming missions he goes on.
Yeah.
But once more into the breach, they get things set up, and they discover that they can control how far they travel in time based on the exit vector that they take. So there's a portal right in front of them. That you can see it open right there. There's a portal. But by adjusting port or starboard from that portal point, they can either travel into the future by shooting to the starboard of it, or into the past by going port. Everyone's waiting. We got a time signal. Oh, there we go. Happy birthday, Tony. Everything is just fine.
The professor says this could have been a better 2-part episode. That could have been interesting.
Yeah. Kind of had the climax be maybe the actual war going off. Like, oh, hey, we're here. They're getting information. And then, oh, no, something went wrong. There's the bombs going off in the distance. And then have the second part of the episode being, now we're going 2 days back in the past, trying to prevent it. Yeah. So Jellicoe says everything's done and over, but Lewis says, no, there's one more thing I need to take care of. And we find him approaching this mysterious old lady. She wants to know, do I know you, perhaps? Mysterious man? And he pulls out the keychain little... What do you call that? It's not a keychain, it's a
fob, maybe?
Yeah. And gives it to her. It's how she recognizes him. And she goes, oh, I always knew you'd come for me. And Lewis seems into this. He does not seem bothered by the fact that this girl is, his grandma's age now. Not that I'm judging much. But yeah.
Thomas does make a good point. If it was a 2-part episode, the next part would be 9 months from now.
It would be. It would be. I mean, we all know there's no way I'm going to have my lesson done in time next week. For SeaQuest to happen next week. Or I'm going to still be fighting my computer problems. Something's going to be coming up.
Oh, certainly.
Well, John, how did you enjoy today's episode?
Oh, I thought it was a fun episode. It was an interesting time travel plot. I thought it was good. And of course, we already talked about this, but Darwin saved the world, so that's always a bonus.
He most definitely did. He was 100% saving the world. Which he did last week too, I want to say.
Well, I'm sure he did.
Seems like
That doesn't really narrow it down very much.
They're really starting to wear down Jellicoe, letting him see the importance of Darwin on the bridge. Because up until last week or the week before, he did not even want Darwin on that bridge. He's like, no, I'm not going to have some pet on the bridge.
They even called him that animal, but today he turns to Darwin in the Crunch.
He did. Well, any thoughts about the episode? Things that were meh for you, or thoughts where it could have improved?
Like I said, the baseball bats were a bit much, but other than that, I thought they handled that situation appropriately.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason why I tend to view that as too much is because I feel like I feel like the generation that's coming up after us doesn't understand the true insidiousness of the racism that existed at the time. That while you certainly had people who were just raging racists, the bigger issue with racism is how many people were just willing to turn a blind eye to injustices going on, and were okay with to live with the status quo and say, well, that's the law, and weren't willing to be like, hey, you know what? We are literally discriminating against people because of their skin color. And so whenever you have just like these caricatures of people who are over the top, it's like you're missing the real harm that was going on there. But even with that, I mean, like I said, the time when the scene came up, I 100% believe they could have had all that same interaction. You just take away the baseball bats, and you would have had a perfect scene for that to happen in. You would have had the people like, hey, we don't think it's okay you're on this beach. Hey, we don't think it's okay you're driving this nice car. Hey, we don't think it's okay that you're with two pretty white women. I think all that would have been much better commentary than having them all get baseball bats out like they just come from a little league game. I mean, that was the part where it was a little weak for me. But I still think they addressed it far better than, frankly, modern shows tend to address issues like this. Like Doctor Who literally did a Rosa Parks episode, and it didn't address the racism as well as this episode did. At least in my opinion. Professor was saying the pacing was a bit too fast for his taste. Yeah, I can see that. I think it would have been an interesting two-part episode. Maybe the way I described it would have been too on the nose for a two-part episode. Maybe it wouldn't have had that pacing down right, but I think it definitely would have lended itself to really exploring the idea of time travel. How do we get back? Maybe the limits of, we don't have unlimited chances here. The black hole is rapidly decaying, so now we have a timetable we're working against here. I think it could have been an interesting two-parter, kind of like Year of Hell and Voyager. Thomas is saying, I have an idea, Matthew. Work on your lesson on other days when you have free time. Oh, I will be working it on those other days too, Thomas. I mean, unfortunately it takes me a long time to do my lessons, because I'm really bad at getting it going, like the opening couple paragraphs. But once I get that down, I start to get into a good flow. But then I go back, like I'm like, oh wait, I have all these points, but they don't quite flow in the right order. So I go back and I end up writing the same stuff 15 times as I refine it into what I actually want it to be. But at least this time, I've made a lot of good notes already on what I'm going to be teaching, and I just need to kind of take the notes that I've done and start answering the questions that I wrote and putting it into a good format. So hopefully I can do some of that in the days leading up to Tuesday so that we can still do SeaQuest. That would not only be my goal, but it's certainly Amy's goal, because she cannot stand when everything comes down to the last minute.
Professor Bernie Specs and Thomas both said that the episode reminded them a little bit of the Final Countdown.
Which one was that? I can only think of the song.
That's about a modern aircraft carrier gets sent back in time to Pearl Harbor, and they have to decide whether or not they're going to try to prevent the attack.
Okay. I remember the plot, but I don't think I've ever watched the movie. I think it said in my Netflix watch list for a long time, but I don't know. It's been a long time since I actually watched things on Netflix. Thomas, I in fact do record my lessons. They're not all good. They're not all good. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap things up here, because honestly, it had a bit of a slow start with all my computer issues, which hopefully I will be able to fix before I go to bed tonight. We'll see what happens. But next week, we're down to the last 3, everyone. Just 3 more episodes. And next week is called Reunion. Reunion. What is going to happen? And well, obviously there's going to be a reunion. It is not going to be with Bridger. He's not making any more appearances, I do believe, is what I've been told. So who could be reuniting? It's not going to be not going to be what's his face, Brody and his mom. Brody's gone. I feel like it would be a little too on the nose for it to be Jellicoe and his ex-wife again. Like, we've already had 2 of those, so not there. So let's say, here we go. Reunion is going to be between Lewis and Bridger's son, because that plot point is still dangling out there. So let's say that that Lewis finds Bridger's son and they reunite. I guess that doesn't really work as a reuniting, but it's still considered a reunion. That's the best I got for this. Otherwise, it would have to be something like Piccolo reuniting with some family member of his, which would be interesting. I mean, he hasn't seen any of his family in 10 years, but I'm going to stick with my Lewis guess. There we go. Yeah, a professor saying, you hope I don't have technical issues. I tend not to. I tend not to. I should put it on YouTube. I did think about it, but it's only audio. Maybe I'll upload them on Discord or make them unlisted or something. Tom is saying, I think you have to know each other to reunite. Yeah. But I mean, you could have the general reunion concept of they wanted Bridger to see his son, so this is the closest they got. I mean, I do agree with your overall point there. We'll find out next week, won't we, though? So everyone, thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you hopefully next week. If not, I will post in Discord and on Twitter. But here's hoping I manage my time wisely so that we can enjoy SeaQuest Season 3, Episode 11, Reunion next week. Until then, take care. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will. And be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of all the updates I do on this channel. If you want to support the work I'm doing here, then I hope you'll consider becoming one of my Patreons, where you'll get early access to all kinds of videos. And until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.